So in this video, we're going to be looking at the greatest common factor within kind of like factorizing and using the distributive property to, I guess, rework or express some algebraic expressions and show some algebraic expressions in different ways. You may not watch this video straight through. You might work on some of these problems on your own and then come back and check them. However you want to do it, because I'm not quite sure how long this video is going to be before I start making it. So if it's 15 minutes for me to work through all these problems, then you probably don't want to watch it straight through. You might want to work on some of these, then come back and kind of skip around, check your answers, and then if you get them wrong, go back and see what you did and kind of fix things from there. So let's start here with the first one. It says to do A is 3x squared plus 15x equals 3 times something. So then I'm sitting here and I look back, okay, well 3 times what? So I do 3 divided by 3 is 1, which means I just have x squared. Let me zoom in so I can write a little bit better in this. X squared plus, because it's a positive 3, 3 times 5 is 15, so it would be 5x. So 3 times x squared plus 5. Then B takes out a factor of x, so it's x times, in this case, to get x squared, you just have 3x plus, and then it would just be 15, because you take the x out. So I would distribute x times 3x is 3x squared, and x times 15 would be 15x. Over here, C, it takes out 3x. So if I took out 3x, I would just be left with x here. And then 3x times x would be 3x squared, which is similar to what we had over here, except we reversed it. We left in the 3x and took out the x. Slide over here. All right. And then 3x times 3 times 5, so it would be 5, and then the x is taken out, so it would just be 5. So then it would be 3x times x plus 5. So number 2 says, which of the factorizations for 3x squared plus 15 do you think is the best and why? And so the straight answer for this one is just that C is the best because it takes out the greatest common factor of 3x is the greatest common factor between these two terms. And just so you're clear, the standard algorithm that we use to find greatest common factor still works for these terms. So like 3x squared, I can take out a factor of x, and then if I divide that out, I have 3x, because x times 3x is 3x squared. And I have 15, because x times 15 is 15x. Then from the 3x and the 15, I can take out a factor of 3. So 3, and then 15, and that gives me with x and 5, and then this converts right into your distributive property, where you multiply these two, so you end up with 3x times x plus 5. You just add these two together. So the algorithm for finding greatest common factor still works even when you're dealing with a value of x. So you can see here that 3 is doing the same thing. First says to take out a factor of 4, but note here that you have a minus sign, so just be aware of that. So take out a factor of 4, that would be 4 times a squared minus, and then 4 times 3, because 3 and then a. Because 4 times 3 is 12, and I didn't take out an a at all. Slide over here, and you're taking out a factor of a, so that would be a times 4a minus 12, because I took the factor of a out, because a times 12 is 12a, and a times 4a is 4a squared. And then over here, take out a factor of 4a, and in which case you'd be left with just a, and then minus, and in this case it would be 3. 4a times a equals 4a squared, and 4a times 3 equals 4 times 3 is 12, and then you just have the a. Now, if I come over here and take my two terms, 4a squared and 12a. 4a squared and 12a. If I take them here and I start taking out the factors, so maybe you start with the 4. I can take out a factor of 4. That leaves me with a squared, and 12 divided by 4 is 3, so it leaves me with 3a. Now I see that I have a squared, which is a times a, and 3a, which is 3 times a. So both cases I'm multiplying by at least an a, so I can take out a factor of a. If I divide out a factor of a, I just have a left, and if I take the a out here and divide by it, I have 3 left. So I end up with a and 3, and then 4a, which gives me 4a times a plus 3, and that again, I'm not going to write this down because it's the same answer. Which do you think is best and why? Okay, in this case, it's C again is the best because it takes out the greatest common factor. 4a, the greatest common factor, when you take that out, there you go. In each case, the third factorization is the best because you factored out the greatest common factor. Oh, look at this. The answer is right here on the page. If I would have looked ahead, I would have seen this and had it. But again, I'm just kind of solving these the same way you would. So this here is basically the answer to 4 and to 2 in terms of answering these, and I showed you how to figure that out. Factor each expression below. Be sure to find and use the greatest common factor. So I think the easiest way for me is to use that algorithm. 5x, so let's start with 5. 5x squared plus 15x. So just put a box here. I can get rid of the 15 and the plus sign. I don't really need to think about that right now. The first thing I see that comes out of both of these is a 5, which divided here gives me x squared, and then 15 divided by 5 is 5x. And then I can see the x times x, and just an x here, so a times x, and so I can take out a factor of x. That leaves me with just regular x, and leaves me with 5. And so, for my coming up here to factor this, it's going to be 5x times x plus 5. So I would write 5x times x plus 5. Oops. Then over here, 6x minus 4. So this one is a little bit simpler to factor 6x and 4. I would take out a 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and x stays there. 4 divided by 2 is 2. I can't take anything else out, so it would be 2 times 3x plus 2. I'm going to close those parentheses there. 2 times 3x, oh no, minus 2, so the minus sign would stay the same there. 5x squared plus 5x. I could do this right here on these. If I take out a factor of 5, then I'm left with x squared and x. I can then take out a factor of x, leaves me with x, and x divided by x is 1. So it becomes 5 times x, so 5x times x, and it's plus 1. Alright, coming over to do 6, 8, and 10. Again, pause the video and rewatch if I'm moving a little fast for you. That is perfectly okay. Don't be afraid to do that. Alright, having used my black marker, 3x squared and 12x are my two terms. The greatest common factor between these. I can see I have x squared and an x, so I'm going to take out a factor of x. Leaves me with 3x and 12. 3 and 12, I can take out a common factor of 3. That leaves me with x, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. So it becomes 3x times x plus 4. Alright, 7x plus, or 7x squared minus 9. So 7x squared and 9x, I need to figure out a common factor. I'm going to change colors because I don't think that orange is a very good one. Let's see if this green works any better. I can take out a factor of x. Yeah, it looks to be working a little better. Okay. 7x squared divided by x is going to be 7x. And then 9x divided by x is going to be 9. 7 and 9 can't be divided by anything else because 7 is a prime number, so it's going to be divided by 7. So my answer just becomes x times 7x minus 9. Let's work out this one right here. 9a squared minus 12a, so first thing I see is the a that can come out. So a, then it would be left with 9a, and 12a divided by a is just 12. Now 12 and 9 can both be divided by 3, and that leaves me with 3a and 4. You can't divide anything into 3 and 4, and the a is only one a term. So it is 3 times a, or 3a, times 3a minus 4. And that is how I would factor using the greatest common factor for all of these in the standard algorithm. Rewatch the video. It's about 10 minutes, 11 minutes now. So rewatch as you need to. Check your work on these different problems as I went through here.